welcome back to another 10 minutes. I'm Isaiah, and that is George. We appreciate your time. If you like this video, please like and also subscribe if you like our content. And so today I have another quote that I wanted to discuss. It's similar to Augustine, St. Anselm. A lot of his quotes and stuff are just really great. And so I wanted to get into this one, which I think is very important. And it's one of your favorite things, a paradox, to some extent. So I'll read it and we'll proceed. So here's what it says in St. Anselm Proslogium, I don't know how you say it, chapter 1. For I do not seek to understand that I may believe, but I believe in order to understand. For this also I believe, that unless I believed, I should not understand. And so Anselm is pointing out how he is approaching understanding. He does not seek to understand so that he has more reasons to believe necessarily, or like he's worried about his belief and therefore he's trying to find understanding in order to fill in the gaps. But instead, he's only believing and then understanding afterwards. And he reverses the order. And I think typically in the modern era, especially, well, and we're more in the postmodern era, if we want to be more specific. But in this day and age, people seek to understand that they may believe instead of the other way around. And it's not like Anselm is deprecating the idea of understanding and then being able to believe based on the evidence. But what he's saying is that if he did not believe, that he wouldn't understand God or anything for that matter. And that once you reach a certain understanding, let's say about the crucifixion and the evidence for God existing and stuff like that, then we are in the state of faith. We have faith in God and we believe in Him. Once we've looked through the evidence, then we can find that faith is reasonable. But then what happens after faith? Then the Trinity can be understood. Not understood in every sense, but it can be accepted because it's accepted by faith at that point. And again, it's not that faith is unreasonable, it's that once the reason has been established, then faith can continue to grow and be built in the mysteries of the faith, such as the Trinity and stuff. And so, what Anselm is saying here, I think, is that we could not really understand the mysteries unless we first believed that God existed and that Christianity was true. And so, I'll leave it at that and throw it over to you if you have any thoughts and ideas as well on this.
Well, like you said, it's a very interesting and big topic because obviously Anselm is not denigrating reason and intellect or knowledge and study and pursuit of understanding, but there are times you mentioned the thing that stuck out to me is you mentioned the uh, crucifixion and resurrection of the Lord. And there's really good reasons why we believe that, right?
Right.
Based on uh, reason, intellect, study, understanding, all those things. And so that's something that we have faith and trust in. But the challenge comes in where he said there are times where okay, we can say we believe that, for example, but then we look at it and we go like, well, it's been 2000 years since the Lord's been back. Why is there such a delay? And it might start to challenge like, well, because it's so long, did that ever even happen or but because of faith, trust, we can go like, okay, I don't understand why it's been so long. Uh and so I go back and I look and that trust builds again, and then you go like, well, I can't quite explain when he's coming back, why he hasn't come back yet, but I can trust that he was here, and so my faith can help my belief or help my understanding. And it may and then really what it does is it keeps me from shutting the door too quick on something. So if I go like it's just not understandable why he hasn't come back. So then I just continue on, and pretty soon my faith opens up doors. Oh, well, this might be why. One reason might be because the longer he delays, the more people that are born, and the more people that are born, the more potential for them enjoying heaven. Some of them enjoying heaven, and so all of a sudden, my faith starts to help me understand possibly more reasons. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's
Well, what's funny is Peter talks about in one of his letters that the people would mock and say, "You said that he would return," and it's funny because we're sitting here 2,000 years after the fact, and that was not very far after when Peter was being mocked in that way, and the Christians were being mocked. Um, and so, yeah, I think that what you're talking about is very much the point here, which is we have reasons for believing that Christ came and believing the words that he said. It doesn't make it any easier when it comes to wondering about the when he will return and waiting and longing. It really doesn't make it super easy because as human beings, we are impatient many times and we're doubtful. But then when we look at the foundation being Christ, and we look at the crucifixion, the evidence for the resurrection, it's astounding. And it helps us to be able to accept the other mysteries of the faith, such as the Trinity. And there's so many questions about the Trinity, and it's not able to be accepted on reason alone. If it was, then we wouldn't need to have faith in order to accept it. And the thing is, that doesn't mean that it's unreasonable. It is reasonable. It fits within reason. And the reason why it's reasonable is because we have evidence for the faith, and that faith is therefore reasonable because it's on solid ground. And so the Trinity is acceptable on those grounds, but and it also doesn't contradict reason as well. And so, like, there's many reasonings that the fathers give on why the Trinity makes sense and how it works, and providing evidences and reasonable explanations about how it could work um, after the fact, after they believe. And those are still reasonable, but those aren't the foundation for the doctrine itself. The doctrine itself is the foundation for those reasons. And so I think St. Anselm's quote here can be applied to many things in the Christian faith. And since we might be nearing the end of our time, do you want me to reread it like we did last
sure,
time?
sure.
Any last thoughts before I do that?
No, they would just take us into instead of 10 minutes, 110 minutes. So
Well, yeah, like usual. So, here's what it says: Saint Anselm, Proslogium, Chapter 1. For I do not seek to understand that I may believe, but I believe in order to understand. For this also I believe, that unless I believed, I should not understand. That's it. So,
all right, Godspeed.
have a good week.